So we come to the 23rd sloka. Kastum koham kuda ayataha kame janani kome tataha idi paribhavaya sarvamasaram vishwam tektva swapna vicharam. So the purpose of spiritual discipline or practice is to lift yourself from your biological and psychological conditioning. So we are lost in the biological and psychological conditioning. And as a result, we have established biological relationship, father, mother, children, wife, etc. This is the biological relationship. And on top of that, we have a psychological conditioning, because of which we have become slaves of our own past thoughts. Thoughts regarding the past, thoughts regarding the future. And you take new birth as a result of that. The mind, what is called metempsychosis. With the help, the mind leaves one body and goes to another body. Punarabhijananam, punarabhimaranam, etc. we have seen yesterday. So these are our two conditionings. This is biological conditioning, psychological conditioning, and of course social and cultural conditioning. So because of these, we are not able to discover our real roots, our true identity, which is the spirit. The spirit is beyond the social, biological and psychological conditioning and relationship. It is that spirit we are trying to capture in the seat of meditation. So Shankara says you have to shake up yourself a little periodically. Ask this question, who am I? Who are we? Who are you? These kind of questions are to be asked. And then many kinds of answers will be given from the biological standpoint, psychological standpoint, sociological standpoint. When you say I am an Indian, it's a social standpoint. I am an Indian. That's one of our identities. And when the problems of India comes, then you act like an Indian and you are against the Pakistanis, you are against Americans, you are against the Chinese. Because when you think as an Indian, these are necessary responses. So to physiological condition, I am a male, I am a female, that's another kind of condition. And psychological conditionings, I am intelligent, I am smart, I am weak, I am not in a mood, I am suppressed, and all these are psychological conditions. And beyond it is the spiritual nature. So what you are trying to do, you are dropping yourself from all this conditioning, at least in the seat of meditation, and realize your spiritual center. So to facilitate that movement from the conditioning to the unconditioned spiritual state, we have to ask these questions. Who am I really? Am I this biological person? Psychological person? Sociological person? Am I an improved monkey? So the latest, one of the latest theories, not the latest theory, one of the latest theories, I am an improved monkey. Monkey was jumping from tree to tree and it lost its grip and it fell down, and in the process it lost its tail. So Vanara has become Nara without the tail. That's another perception that we have. And that has got some reason, some logic, but it doesn't express the whole reality. It expresses only part of our reality. So, Kastum, who am I, who are you, who are we, these questions are to be asked constantly. On different levels, we seem to have different identities. Now you are a student in this class, but when you go home, you must be teaching your children, isn't it? Then you become a teacher. Then you are not a student. So in this particular discourse or relationship, then you are a student. And when you move out of this, you are no more a student. With reference to your son, you are a mother. With reference to your mother, you are a darling daughter, isn't it? With reference to your mother, you are a daughter. And your relationship also change, your attitudes change, your moods change. So therefore, he says, these are all flexible relationship, relative conditions, and one has to go beyond it in the seat of meditation. So ask this question constantly. Kaha tvam, who are we? Who are you? Kaha aham, who am I? Kuda ayata, where did I come from? Did I come from my biological parents? Or did I come from the spiritual reality? Am I just a biological person or anything higher to me than all this? So, kuda ayataha, where did I come from? So, if somebody asks you, where do you come from? You will say, I am coming from Ernakulam. That will be a reply. That's a provisional reply. And if they further ask you the question, are you really coming from Ernakulam? Then these questions keep coming to you. Then finally you understand, I am coming from the spirit. Brahmavamshi vayam. We all have our root and our origin, our real home in Brahman, the spirit. That discovery we make slowly. And that doesn't change. That's our original nature and our original home. Kame janani, who is my mother? Kome tata, who is my father? So finally you realize, my mother and father, they are Jagadas Pidarau Vande Parvati Parameshwaro. I come to that understanding. Idi paribhavaya, thus keep on thinking. So one has to understand the relative identities and the absolute identity we have. Relative identities keep on changing. Isn't it? Relative identities keep on changing. Till you marry, you are only a daughter. After your marriage, you become a son, you become a mother, a wife. So this way, relation, and when you are employed, you become an employee. Then you resign and start your own industry, then you become an employer. And your philosophy also changes. As long as you are an employee, you are a communist sympathizer. When you become an employer, you become a BJP or a Congress or whatever. So depending upon where you are, which end of the rope you are, which end of the road stick you are, whether you are on the receiving end or the giving end, your attitude and philosophy changes. Is it not? And hence, keep on asking this question. So Vedanta encourages you to ask questions. Not simply submissively accept all that is being said. You have to ask, relentlessly ask questions. Idi paribhavaya. And when you reflect like this, sarvam asaram, you understand the relative nature of things. These are not absolute. These relationships, these identities are not absolute. You are a student as long as you sit in this hall, isn't it? When you get out of this hall, you are no more a student. As long as you sit in this hall, you are very pious. Once you reach in the road, your pious nature goes, your piety goes, and you become a roaring, shouting monster. Because anybody trying to overtake you, you will shout and scream at him, which is called road rage nowadays. So these are our behavior, these are all relative aspects of our personality. What is your absolute identity? Chidananda Rupa, Shivoham, Shivoham. That's your absolute identity. I am that infinite Chidananda, the self. Idi paribhavaya sarvam asaram. Those are all relative identities. And that is the collection of the basket of these relative identities is called Vishwam. Vishwa means Vividha Pratyegamyam Vishwam. Vishwa is that which is set up by thoughts, which is relative, not absolute. That's why when you go to deep sleep, there is no experience of the world. You are neither a mother or a daughter or an Indian or a professor or a plumber. You are nobody. What are you then? I don't know. That is your state. I don't know anything. I am just pure ignorance at that time. I neither know the world nor I know myself. Until you reach the other shore of this relative world, you remain like that. So that's my identity. Vishwam Tektva, transcend this relative world of relationships and identities. Vishwam Tektva, Swapna Vijaram. It's like a dream, you say. The world is like a dream. When you experience it, it is so real. That's the definition of a dream. When you experience it, the dream is so real. When you're lying down, you suddenly see a dream. A stocky, dark, fearful person with long teeth comes and grabs you. And then you're trying to wriggle out of his grip. And the more you try to wriggle out, the more his grip tightens on you. and is carrying you away and you are crying and the voice won't come out, isn't it? And you see your parents standing, but they don't see you crying, they don't see you being lifted by this monster, and you're struggling and kicking him, but nothing happens to him. The more you kick, the more he smiles and roars. And finally, you get up with a cold sweat all over. And when you open up, you are quietly lying down in your bedroom, isn't it? But when you see the dream, it is so real. When you wake up, it is no more real. Haven't you experienced that? Similarly, the world, while we are going through the experience, it is very, very difficult. That is a love relationship, or whether it is a divorce problem. The first problem was love. I fell in love with him or her, and then that was a problem for me. I ignored my studies and all that. That created a problem. Now it is a divorce problem. I want to get out of that relationship. That creates another set of problems. But when the whole storm is over, finally everything is over. Now you are hanging on with the child, one child from the relationship, and you are left with the child. But then you think, after all the problems are over. When you relax and go and stand in front of the deity, you feel a kind of peace after the storm. Then all that was behind, and now you enjoy. So then you say, oh, that was a dream. Somebody reminds you of all that, you say it was a dream. So, Vishwam tektva swapna vicharam. The world is like a dream. All worldly experiences are like dreams. When you go through it, it is so real. When you come out of it, it is so unreal. That is why, when a death takes place in the neighbor's home, you go there and you start quoting Bhagavad Gita. Ashochyananna chojastam, you should not cry, you should not weep, and nobody dies, etc., blah, blah, you say. You go and say all these things there. You become a great philosopher, more than a Shankaracharya. And then the same thing happens in your house. You don't have that wisdom at all. You suddenly collapse. Because at that time it was happening to somebody else, it doesn't affect you. When it happens to you, all the philosophy disappear. And then the other guy has to come and advise you with a vengeance. Whatever you told him, he repeats back to you with a compound interest. And that way we become philosophers, mutually philosophers. That's what is happening. Vishwam tektva swapna vichar. So when the Acharya says the world is a dream, he only means the world is a relative entity. There is nothing absolute about the world. Keep changing from person to person, from situation to situation, from state of mind to state of mind. Continuing.